to the radio announcers, the church people and the street people, telling them that God has smiled on me. God has smiled on you if you got breath in your body. If he woke you up this morning and started you on your way. But I want to tell you some stories of people that God smiled on. We know the story of Dr. Martin Luther King, how it started way back in Montgomery, Alabama in 1955, trying just to get dignity, trying to get respect. And he went all the way to the mountaintop. But he didn't forget about the brothers in the valley. He didn't forget about those trapped in the alley. And I hear Brother Martin King say, God has smiled on me. He's been good to me. Let me tell you, God has smiled on me. He's been so good to me. Then I see as Dr. King went on, another man stepping to the forefront. Who wrote
Yeah, I can hear you now. Can you hear me?
It's Friday, August the 8th. Do you know what time it is? It's Al Sharpton's time. And for the next 3 hours, it's time to put aside all pretense. make sure you check in with Reverend Sharpton on Politics Nation. Politics Nation. Every Saturday and Sunday, 5 p.m. Eastern Time, 4 p.m. Central, and 2 p.m. Pacific Time. That's what I was trying to say. We have a little technical difficulty. Politics Nation every Saturday and Sunday. And then, of course, don't forget to check in with Rev at the Saturday Action Rally and Broadcast. That's every Saturday. Starts at 9 a.m. You can check it out on Impact Television, and as well as you can check it out on nationalactionnetwork.net, as well as you can check it out in person. If you're in the New York area, you can visit 106 West 145th Street in the village of Harlem. All right, a lot going on. I was just saying, a lot going on in the news. A lot to be thinking about, and that's a god awful lot for you to have to exhale about today. So I certainly want to hear what you've got to say. Israel says it will retake Gaza City, escalating the war with Hamas. My goodness, it almost seems like 2 steps forward, 1 step backward, but we will see how this turns out. Want to remind you, if you don't know, that the House of Representatives in Texas, many of them have moved away just for a little bit, trying to figure out how they can stop this unjust move to expand the House by some seats. They think they got 5 or 6 seats to expand the House in the state of Texas. The Texas Governor Greg Abbott has made a move to amp up the pressure on those Democrats. He's calling for everything, special sessions until the Democrats vote on the new maps, trying to get them, police to come get them. They got all kind of games and tactics they're playing. Certainly, we're watching this as they continue to stand off. This showdown, as I would consider it, and I think many of us do, suggests so many implications. If they successfully do it in Texas, who next? That's the real question. Who next? If they successfully do it in Texas, which we will see what the negotiations look like. Well, we said it over and over and over and over and over again. Y'all remember? What's that? Project 2025 was going to be a part of how they decided or what would happen in regards to this Trump administration. Now, we see that Donald Trump has invited the author to present the economic data after the jobs report. Did y'all catch that? They fired the initial jobs reporter, and now they took and allowed the Heritage Foundation economist Stephen Moore as the lead on who will now give us these jobs reports. Oh boy, not singing the right song, so they got to get somebody to sing the song that they want to be sung. You know, so much going on. We sometimes forget to talk about the implications of what happens with us in public health. And that's the reason why we added a story about how Black women suffer so much when they have childbirth. And now Brooklyn-based Doula Collective is saving Black mothers. And they are organizing to make sure that Black women have some resources available to them when they have children. So a lot going on. You haven't forgot, I hope you haven't forgot, on August the 28th, we marching. What are we doing on August 28th? Marching. What are we doing on August the 28th? What comes after February? March. We are marching. That's right. On Wall Street, August the 28th, make sure you go to nationalactionnetwork.net, check in there, and see what's going on. So, a lot to talk about. I'm going to have them open up every line for you because I want everybody in. Nobody's going to be left out. We want to make sure you get part of this conversation. Go to 877. That's right. Go to your phone. 532-5797. Keeping it real. The Reverend Al Sharpton. Reverend Charles Williams hanging out with you. We'll be right back right after this.
So who is Al Sharpton anyway? Who is this 33-year-old preacher without a church?
A number of black New Yorkers as well. He is little more than a pudgy exhibitionist who can be counted on to show up, bullhorn in hand, at every racial incident.
I often quote Mark Twain saying, "The two most important moments in life is the moment you are born and the moment you find out why you were born." I had a very troubling conversation the other day that prompted me to do this little video. Young man that I've known a while came to me and he was crushed. I mean, really crushed, because people were criticizing his work. He's in the ministry, but he's also an actor. And he said he couldn't understand why people were jumping all over, criticizing him, trying to find scandalous and derogatory things about him. And I told him, I said, you know, you very young. You don't know the road I've traveled. They call me everything but a child of God.
A blabbermouth, a loudmouth, too flamboyant, an agitator, a racist,
I had to know.
Yeah, right.
I was not defined by how others saw me. I was defined by how I saw myself and whether I was being true to myself. Some of you watching this don't like me. And it doesn't matter as long as I know what I'm doing and I like me for being real. So I'm doing this video to say to you, whoever you are and whatever you do, you may not be in ministry or social justice, none of this stuff, but don't live your life worried about opposition or people that don't like you. You can turn that around. Use me as an example. The same people that call me a scam artist, a con artist, a sellout, or racial hustler and all, I kept going. And the people I respected started respecting and publicly embracing my work.
When Coretta Scott King, the widow of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., had this to say about Al Sharpton.
A leader who has protested injustice with a passionate, unrelenting commitment to nonviolent action in the spirit and tradition of Martin Luther King Jr. And I am talking about your leader, our leader, the Reverend Al Sharpton.
The other thing that hasn't changed is the National Action Network's commitment to fight injustice and inequality here in New York City and across America. And that's not only a testament to Reverend Sharpton, it's a testament to all of you who are here tonight.
First and foremost, to Reverend Sharpton. I saw him when he first came on the scene, and I have marveled at his tenacity, at the development of his intellect, and his devotion to our movement, and much he has contributed to the world we are experiencing. I am honored, and I must say that when I had my debate with Dr. King on the issue of the church and religion, he didn't warn me that after his departure, his space would be filled by another preacher, and that preacher would be Al Sharpton.
All you want in life is people that matter to you to say you did all right. And more important, that you can look in the mirror and say you did all right.
Thank you, Rev. Thanks for that introduction. Look, we've known each other for a long time. I'm grateful not only for your leadership and partnership, but quite frankly, more importantly, for your friendship. And thanks to all of you, members of our nation's most important civil rights organization.
You have been, over all of your years, such an extraordinary leader. You are a voice of truth, a voice of conscience, a voice of practicality around what we must address and what we can do. And I thank you so much for your friendship.
I remember that most of the youth around Al's age, he was about 12, wanted to be like Connie Hawkins, a great basketball player, legend, or Earl the Pearl, or Clyde Frazier. Al wanted to be like Adam Powell, a powerful preacher with a social justice gospel. He was very close to, at that time, the Reverend William Augustus Jones, powerful preacher and social justice advocate, and Reverend Gardner Taylor State right down the street, and Bishop Washington, whose church he came from, and Reverend Sandy Ray. He wanted to be like these giant preachers. He wanted them to have the edge, however, of the King's social justice dimension. He wanted to be like them, now he's one of them. Perhaps taller than most of them because of the risks he has taken and the reward God has given him with his gift. I remember so well that I first escorted him to jail. He was around 13 years old with the jail fighting the ANP. He was in the lineage of our struggle. He grew up in it. We didn't just see him on TV one night. He didn't happen. He came bottom up, not top down.
One year ago and change, 67 weeks ago, we started marching every Thursday, am I right, on the offices of Bill Ackman. Bill Ackman was the architect of ending DEI, which is diversity, equity, and inclusion. He started it. I want to give a little history because a lot of people get Negroitis and get confusion. I don't even mind your ego, everybody need one, but you don't have to become contrary and duplicitous. We got to have integrity even among those with ego. So we started when they first came out against DEI. Now Ackman and them started it going to Harvard University, forcing out the first black woman and first black president of Harvard. We went to his office and been going 67 weeks. I went first 10, 12 weeks. And this brother, stand up, Reverend Ron McHenry, coordinator House of Justice. This brother has been there every week. Many of you here in the audience have marched every week. So we didn't just get in this, we were in it the day they came at Claudine Guy. Last year's convention, we dealt with DEI. This year we said that we're going at these corporations that had come out against DEI. Many of you, most of y'all I'm looking at was at the convention. And we hit Pepsi. Pepsi called and said, all right, we 8-9 days in, we agree to meet. And we went, purchased New York, chairman of our board, Reverend Dr. W. Franklin Richardson, and Carol Wallace, who's a special advisor to us on finance, and laid out to them that one, we don't care what you call it, DEI, IED. Y'all are gonna keep your commitments in terms of the black community. And that means we don't want special privilege, but we do not want to be specially excluded. This is not about we don't want merit. We feel if our people are at the table, we can beat anybody on merit in many cases. So we want from employment to your board, to how you deal with marketing, to who does your financial investment. We want to go across the board with that. Otherwise, if you don't want to deal with the question of diversity in how you do your business, then don't deal with diversity in your consumer base, because you don't believe in diversity. So we just will try to remove all the dollars we can from buying your stuff. In fact, I told the chairman, maybe the chairman of the board, maybe the CEO, I said, in fact, I learned that not from growing up civil rights, I learned that from Donald Trump. So what do you mean? I said, Donald Trump said he's gonna redo tariffs, that if he doesn't get what he wants for the country, they were gonna raise the tariffs. I'm doing the black tariff reverse. If we don't get what we want, I mean, y'all can't be for Trump and tariff and not be for us in the African American community with a tariff.
Keeping it real. Keeping it real. Keeping it real. Keeping it real. You know who your host is. Reverend Al Sharpton. Reverend Charles Williams II. I'm filling in. Keeping it real. Reverend Sharpton's on the road. Of course, you know he's pumping up the March on Wall Street all over the place, all over the country. Certainly we are in prayer for him as he continues to, get folks signed up all over the country. And then, of course, our dear sister Dominique, we looking forward to. She may be popping in at some point, so we looking for her. But more importantly, today is your day. It's X. Why? Because it's Exhale Friday, and Exhale Friday means that it's your time to take whatever you have been dealing with all week in regards to all of the different issues that are going on. And it lets you say, "Hey, I need to get something off my chest before we go into the weekend." Don't let it stay with you. I've been thinking a lot about, as many of you all have, this negotiations and the question between Hamas, the question between what's going on with Israel. As you heard at the top of the program, Israel, they're making moves. They say they want to retake Gaza City. And this doesn't de-escalate war. This escalates war. It's not going to de-escalate. This is going to turn up the heat. Want to know what you think about it too? I mean, it's one of those things where you say to yourself, man, we're watching folks starving. We're seeing constant reports of folks starving, and there's a constant quest or a question of, hey, we want to de-escalate the war. We want to stop the violence. But yet this move is a move that could, if you will, maybe even involve other countries. This move is a move, if you will, that could possibly more innocent people could be killed, who are just living their everyday lives. They're not fighting in a war. They're not. They're just trying to survive. And so, I think one of the things that we've got to think about this Friday as we prepare to go in, and I think about as I exhale, is what is this? What is this now really all about? Is it really a question of some type of eradication of the individuals that live, that work, that are in that space? Could it be that they are being starved out? I don't know. I mean, there's always questions of these things when you think about what is happening with folks who can't get food. Reporters can't even get food. At least that's what these are the reports we're getting. None of us are on the ground, so we don't know. But these are the reports that we're getting, that reporters can't even get food, and that there's no food around, and babies are starving. And now Israel's saying, we're going in to take Gaza City. What do you think about that? I mean, and the reason why we should be thinking about it, please understand this, is that if this country is to get involved in any of these types of conflicts with sailors and soldiers and Marines, what that would possibly do or could do is engage your family members. More importantly, our tax dollars have been utilized to support the efforts of those who are going hungry, while at the same time, our tax dollars have also been used to support Israeli efforts in some form or some fashion. 877-532-5797, 877-532-5797. It's Exhale Friday, and so I'm leaving some exhale topics for you to exhale. But then there also raised this question of the jobs report. Trump didn't like the job report. He didn't like it. So since he didn't like it, it's usually typical for people to not like something, to try to do something about the statistics, the numbers, the data. If you don't like the data, you try to do something to impact the data. But Trump says, nah. I don't like the data. I got to change the narrative. I don't like the content. So instead of me saying, well, I don't like these numbers, I got to do a better job at reporting these numbers, instead, Donald Trump says, I'm going to change the person who is making the numbers, or who is reporting the numbers. All of these things are up for grabs. They up for conversation. Voting rights 2025. What we don't see is, we don't see the question of democracy. We see the question of, well, there are those who believe there are 5 more seats available in Texas. We need to redraw the maps, get those 5 seats, so that we can make a change in what happens to the national politics. Or we can maintain the Congress. We can't win the way it's situated right now. This is what they're admitting to. We can't win the way it is right now. They're just blatantly telling you. They're not, this is what, hey, let me call my buddy Greg Abbott. Abbott, how you doing? Donald Trump here. We can't win the way it looks right now, because folks are going to vote the way it's situated, Democrat. We need to redraw these maps, make sure that they are drawn in such a way where the Democrats can lose some seats and the Republicans can gain some seats. And then gaining those seats, we will be able to maintain control of the House. Is that still democracy? And then it is even more of a question, not only is it still democracy, but was it ever democracy? Meant for democracy. They draw these lines every census report, after every census report. And, there's been a question of, are these lines being drawn fair? And they asked this question, and this question's been asked over and over. But yet, we've stayed with these same processes, and these processes have somewhat failed the country. Especially when you feel like you can just go in, change the map up a little bit, and boom, now we've got some more Republican seats. So there's a lot to exhale about this Friday. And so I don't want you to miss out. Join us in this conversation. Give me your point of view, your perspective. 877-532-5797. I'm making plenty room for everybody to get in, so no excuses. I want you in this. Keeping it real, the Reverend Al Sharpton. Reverend Charles Williams, I'll be back with you right after this.
Keeping it real. Warning, the
of reference. 400 years later, it's time to do some assessing where we came from. While Alabama, Georgia, and South Carolina, and Mississippi take the hits, the real trade market for commerce and cotton was New York, the port of New York. As a matter of fact, Joe, the first state to end slavery was Vermont. It was all the way up the coast. The big shipbuilders became rich off of our enslavement. Say our people are not slaves, They're our ancestors. They may be slaves of the person, but they're our ancestors, they're our foreparents. The money is made off of the commodity. We were the commodity in the commodity exchange. And they would import Africans. They export cotton and tobacco. And they built the whole economic system around Wall Street. Africans, because they feared the Indians would attack the Dutch, built a wall on Wall Street. That's what they named it Wall Street. It's the Africans with logs and trees. They built a wall around Wall Street, keep the Indians from attacking the Dutch. So Wall Street was named after us. There's a burial ground on Wall Street, which we should all visit. Those are our foreparents. At some point, they moved us to the other end of Manhattan, which is Harlem. So we are on the same island as Manhattan. Manhattan, Harlem, Wall Street, on the same island. Harlem is right down the road from Wall Street. That's interesting that most of our leaders, who all get different cases, never quite got to march on Wall Street.
That was Reverend Jesse Jackson speaking at National Action Network's House of Justice in 2020, saying that we'd ignored dramatizing, putting the spotlight on the economic inequalities, the economic issues of this country by never having marched on Wall Street en masse. Well, on August 28th, 5 years later, we're going to do just that. Because with this big, beautiful bill, which is a big, ugly bill that cuts Medicaid and SNAP, with the ending of diversity, equity, and inclusion programs and initiatives in the private sector, which gives blacks and others jobs, contracts for businesses, making sure we make the C-suite based on our merit and not excluded because we didn't have the family background in a given place, whether it be academic or business. The people that benefited from that are the ones on Wall Street that deal with the stock markets, that deal with the Dow Jones, that deal with making trade off of the decisions of those that supported the Trump initiatives in this area. So we are not this year going to Washington on the anniversary of the March on Washington. On the anniversary of the March on Washington, we're going to Wall Street. And Reverend Jackson, we're going to do what you said. Thousands of us are going to nonviolently but firmly come and say that the dream cannot be deferred by tax cuts for the rich and cutting those out that need food assistance, that need support with health care and other economic policies that have choked the middle class and the poor. August 28, 2025, go to www.nationalactionnetwork.net, get the details. Meet us 10 a.m. at the African Burial Ground and be ready to march. Buses are coming from all over the country. Go to that website or call 1-877-626-4651. No justice, no peace. Look at the story. We celebrated Good Friday and Easter just a couple of weeks ago. Well, there's a message in that. I heard a preacher talk about this the other week. The thing that people forget, I want you to keep this in mind, is they crucified Jesus. Those of us that are Christian believe they hung him on a cross, maligned him, mocked him. Wasn't enough to nail him. They mocked him, saying, if you be the king of the Jews, step down and deliver yourself. Mocked him. ridiculed him. He wanted water, they gave him vinegar, crowned him with a crown of thorns. When they should be giving you your celebratory, they're going to give you some attacks. But the end of the story was they went and laid him in Joseph's tomb. Didn't even have a family tomb. Didn't have insurance like some of us. Laid him in a borrowed tomb. But the third morning, this is the story they tell it. The third morning, when they came to where they laid him, he wasn't there. My message is to you today that don't let them catch you where they laid you. They may kill your name. They may crucify your character. They may tell you you are nothing from nowhere. But when they come to where they laid you, let you be gone on to somewhere else. I've been called everything but a child of God. They said I'd be nothing going nowhere. They castigated us. They called us troublemakers. They called us loudmouth. And when they came to see me go to jail, I wasn't there. They can catch me on MSNBC now. They can catch me leading marches now. I serve a God that not only will go through the crucifixion, but will bring you through the resurrection. We're going to resurrect in the city. Stand up, black man. Stand up, black woman. This is our time.
Keeping it real. Keeping it real. Keeping it real. You know who your host is? The Reverend Al Sharpton. Reverend Sharpton's on the road. And certainly, I'm always glad to be with you. Anytime I get the opportunity to keep it real with you, of course, I always appreciate it. This is Reverend Charles Williams II, pastor of the historic King Solomon Baptist Church, chair of the National Action Network in the state of Michigan. Let's get right to the phone lines. Let's go to Cincinnati. The Buzz, line 1. Still, Bill, you're keeping it real with Reverend Al Sharpton. You got Reverend Williams here with you.
This is the day the Lord has made. I will rejoice and be glad
Rejoice and be glad in it. Yes, sir.
I'm still Bill, and I will keep it real. Good afternoon, Reverend.
Very good afternoon to you.
I'd like to give a shout-out to Lincoln Ware and Terrence Howard and the staff of the Buzz, 12:30 a.m. radio station, who I listen to this excellent show. And I want to give a shout-out to my girl, Dominique, who had a birthday last week. I didn't get a chance to wish her a happy belated birthday, but this is what I'm going to do. I will keep it real. Keep it real.
Yeah.
Hey, Dominique. I want to say that President Trump, you know, he's just playing with power right now. You know, he's doing every little thing, you know, that he can possibly do. And here it is, August, and, you know, he has tried to ruin Black History Month. He is trying to ruin Black Music Month. You know, he has tried to just do everything there is that represents us instead of doing what he's supposed to do, like stopping the war and everything, you know, and he got this thing with the tariff again, you know, the prices are going up and everything and all that. And I just say that, you know, I continue to pray for my God, and he is my president. And, you know, I put my trust all in him. And, Reverend, I just want to say that you do an excellent good job. And I'm sorry that the Reverend himself isn't here. But I know he's here in spirit, and he knows that I am a big fan of his. And I'm just going to sign out saying that, you know, I'm still Bill, and I will keep it real. Thank God. Take care.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And I know Rev loves you. Let's go to D.C., line 3. Brother Charles, you're keeping it real with Reverend Al Sharpton. You got Reverend Williams here with you.
Good afternoon, Reverend Williams.
Very good afternoon to you. You got a good name.
And all respect, thank you, brother, and all respect to Brother Al Sharpton on his conquest to liberate our people. What I want to say, I don't want to talk about Israel. I'm not sympathetic. I'm not insensitive to Israel. I want to talk about my real. And what I'm looking at in the streets of D.C., the streets of Baltimore, Chicago, L.A., and anywhere else in Philadelphia, where violence is off the chain. But we don't know what to believe, Reverend Warren. We just had a police officer by the name of Michael Pulinari, I think that's his name, who was just dismissed from the D.C. Police Department for falsifying crime data. So we don't know. They telling us crime is down 23%, but we see that the devil in the White House, who is the chief of police, of chiefs in this country, he's being charged, have been charged with many crimes that he's skated for. If you cannot stop the crime at the top, you can't stop it at the bottom. Children are a reflection of leadership. And if your leaders are corrupt, like Donald Trump and many others, and police people on the force, then you cannot expect the children to respect that kind of leadership. So when they're doing their things, and then when you ask why are they doing these things, you can't then go shut down Job Corps centers, over 100, where they are trying to better themselves. This is what Donald Trump has done. He's a criminal. So now when we look at the reality, when the police chief in Washington, D.C. first took office, she made a statement when she came to her first crime scene that we're going to have to start charging the parents with these crimes. They pulled her in the back room, and you ain't heard nothing come out of her mouth since in that manner, because that is the reality with us. It starts with mama and daddy. If there is an absentee daddy because he maybe was a coward and walked out, then on the other hand, he might have been forced out by a toxic woman that he could not get along with, that would not have been a good sight for the children to see, fussing and fighting and all kind of contentiousness in the home. So be that as it may, we have that reality. 77% of every black home in America, and that number is going up, is headed by a single mother. So we have to deal with that. And if we're going to get a hold on these crimes, and you see this man has just issued the National Guard, the feds have taken over D.C. as of tonight for 7 straight days. Who they going to lock up, Reverend Warren? Our people. Now, can you hear me, brother?
Yes, sir. I'm with you.
And now they're using this this young guy who worked for Dodge as that was the final straw. Well, we got black on black crime all day, all night in the city. But that wasn't the final straw. But when this white boy gets beat, it's the final straw to come down on black people. But we have to start in our homes. There has to be accountability from, hey, moms, you got them. You got to be held accountable for them. They're already locking the fathers up, but that's financial. Child support, deadbeat dad, child support. So fathers are being arrested, but there is no discipline is not the enemy of enthusiasm. There is no conversation had with these mothers. You are corrupting these children with materialism. You're corrupting them with any kind of ism you could think of, because I can go down the line. And we got to make a change in our homes, starting with our children. Mom and dad, you got to step up. You have to. And I got it off my chest, and I'm going to leave it right there.
Okay. Well, I tell you, thank you for your call, man. I can't be mad at you. There was a case here in Michigan where the prosecutor, a kid went into a school, a teenager went into a school, committed a mass shooting, and the prosecutor in Oakland County, Michigan, and I just forgive me if you don't remember the name of the boy who was part of this case, but the prosecutor uh, actually prosecuted the boy who went into the school and killed families, shot up the school, but also prosecuted the family. I think to some degree, though, that does for us ask a lot of we got to ask a lot of questions about that. You said 77% up to 77%, and I don't know the factual number, but I do know that the single female head of household number is high in the black community. But I feel like wouldn't we be much better if we actually had resources available for these single female head of households so that they can parent. So, because we're just enhancing the prison industrial complex. I mean, if we just keep throwing folks in jail, wouldn't it make more sense to have 24-hour daycare, to have resources to help you get up from a job that's got you working 12 shifts and 12-hour 2 shifts and double shifts and working triple overtime and all that just to try to scrape by and raise these kids at the same time? It's a lot of questions I think we got to ask about that. So I appreciate that, and that's something to think about when you talk about exhaling. Let's go to Chapel Hill, line 4, Anita. Anita, you're keeping it real with Reverend Al Sharpton. You got Reverend Charles Williams with you. Hello? I don't hear Anita.
Okay, I'm open now.
There you go.
It looks like it's about time for your break. But what I want to say, I'm always glad to talk to you. I heard the brother just before me. I wasn't going to comment on that, but I understand what he's saying. But Elijah Muhammad, he fixed a lot of that for the black family, and he dealt with the abundance of women through what he considered polygamy, than to let them out here in the street linger with no Medicaid or nothing else that Donald Trump thinks he should cut off. And Elijah Muhammad probably foresaw the foolishness of the men not knowing how to be men, not our men, but the white men in authority that doesn't know how to make rules right and correct where they wreck families with rape. But this is another thing I want to say about women's health, if I can. They have women on birth control. First of all, if you have young women being with men and they don't have children, that's what older women do when they go through menopause. So we got younger women acting like older women when they're young. That's not going to work because they need the wisdom of the experience of being with men, which is going to create children, okay? Or the only other way you can have a male being in an intercourse situation is he's with another male and then they don't have children. So the woman is either acting like another male or she's acting like an older female. How are we going to get straight out of crooked like that? I like how Elijah Muhammad took care of it all, and he was concerned about the food we ate and how it would affect our health, and he also was worried about our mental health. And I think he was ahead of the game.
Thank you, Anita. Holistic approaches. That's what I gathered from what you're saying. All right, y'all. It's Exhale Friday. Folks are exhaling, and I want you to do the same. Don't allow this to pin you up, to get you stuck. We're going to take a quick break. I'll be right back right after this. Keeping it real with the Reverend Al Sharpton.
Good evening and welcome to Politics Nation. Tonight's lead, Rigging the Game.
the last 7 months, Donald Trump has approached the presidency like it's an extension of his golf game, bending, even breaking the rules to gain an advantage. This week, he fired a top government economist for putting out a disappointing jobs numbers as he tries to deny his escalating trade wars are rattling the economy. And he's pushing Republican lawmakers to gerrymander state voting maps ahead of the midterms, desperately looking for ways to blunt the political backlash from his policies in the upcoming midterm elections. Meantime, just days before the 60th anniversary, the John Roberts Supreme Court appears poised to deal another blow to the Voting Rights Act in a case that will determine the future of 2 black majority congressional districts in Louisiana. We've got a big show for you tonight. Let's dive in. Joining me now is Congressman Lloyd Doggett, Democrat of Texas. Congressman, thank you for joining us. Starting the night in Texas, where, as expected, just hours ago, the Texas House Redistricting Committee approved a new congressional district map drawn up by Republican lawmakers that targets Democratic-held districts around 3 major cities and in the southern part of the state. The map is Texas Republicans' attempt to satisfy the president's desire to pick up 5 more GOP seats in Congress in next year's midterms. And we learned today that it could get a full vote in the State House next week. In your case, Congressman, the map pits you against another House progressive, Congressman Greg Kasich, who we had on the show earlier this month to talk about this issue. As Texas Democrats figure out how to respond, what's your reaction?
Well, thank you so much, Reverend Al. It is always good to be on your program because you really tell it like it is. And America needs to know that, because I think most Americans do not realize that Donald Trump has a plan to win next year's elections by doing it this year. And what he ordered Texas to do was to produce 5 Republicans to replace 5 Democrats. This is the beginning. It's not the end of his campaign to take control of the House, to maintain the control so he has a compliant House. The Texas legislature took a big step in that direction today, and they will probably finalize it on Tuesday. What the impact is very dramatic, particularly on communities of color. We currently have 4 members of the delegation who are African American. After this bill becomes law, we will have 2. My friend Mark Vesey from Fort Worth and Dallas, no district. The district that the late Sylvester Turner had combined with Al Green down in Houston. There's also a big impact on Hispanic districts like the one you mentioned with my neighbor and friend Greg Casar, also on Sylvia Garcia down in Houston, all using race, once again, as Donald Trump so often does in other contexts, all using race to achieve his objectives and deny those seats. We have to engage in extraordinary tactics in order to defeat this plan. You know the power very well yourself of the sit-in during the civil rights movement and then the labor movement. It may be what we need here is a sit-out where if nothing else will work, some of the members choose not to participate in this outrageous scheme to preserve Donald Trump's one-man rule.
Now, and I remember not long ago, not too many years ago, some of the state legislators left the state to try to block some things. But staying with that, Congressman, as Democrats chart their path forward nationally, some have argued the party needs younger leaders. With that, there's been a debate in the party about whether you should be running against Congressman Kasich, which would happen if the redistricting ultimately goes through. What's your response? Is this about age or is this about agenda?
You know, I was one who called early for President Biden to step aside because I was concerned about his electability, not his age, about his ability to respond during the debate, not his good heart. But I think we need people of all generations. We certainly want to reach out and include more young people but we don't believe in discrimination based on age, and everyone has an opportunity and should have an opportunity to participate in our party. I want to emphasize also that this is not, as big as Texas is, it's not just a Texas issue. And we're very pleased that Governor Newsom, for example, is looking at how changes can be made in California to offset the losses in Texas. Our Texas state legislators have been traveling around the country. There's some other states from Maryland to Washington state that could be a potential. I wish that all states had nonpartisan citizen rather than gerrymandering. But if it's going to be wrong in Texas, there has to be some action from other states to respond to that so that Trump doesn't gain from his own wrongdoing while everyone else is trying to play nice.
No, and I've heard Governor Newsom in California, Governor Hochul in New York, others are looking at that. Some Democrats we've heard from have cautioned that a redistricting in Texas would weaken the Voting Rights Act, and you brought up race. But it also appears to be in danger of being further gutted in Louisiana, where the U.S. Supreme Court has asked lawyers in a dispute over the state's congressional map whether Louisiana violated the 14th and 15th Amendments trying to adhere to VRA. If the state is found in violation, it could lead to it and other states being barred from considering race in drawing their maps according to a voter rights campaign or complaint. How big of a crisis is this, Congressman?
It's a big one. It's a really big one. You know, Lyndon Johnson, my predecessor representing Austin, Texas, signed the Voting Rights Act in a way that was a result of blood, sweat, and tears of so many people to get that law in place. And now the Supreme Court has already destroyed part of it. They're focused on Section 2. What the immediate effect is that finally we have a second African American from Louisiana. We have a second African American from Alabama. They're both great members. And they prevailed last time, but their case is being challenged. Their status is being challenged, but it will go much wider than that. If Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act is overturned or limited narrowly by the court, it really opens up every predominantly African American or Hispanic seat or Asian seat in the entire country. We face that, and we also face Republicans just growing out of the wrong that was done today in Texas, moving next to Missouri to take on my longtime friend Emmanuel Cleaver, who represents Kansas City so well, then perhaps going up to Indiana. They envision an action that they're taking state by red state. At the same time, they're challenging the Voting Rights Act in the court. That's why I say the Trump plan is to win next year's election this year, and we've got to put a stop to it.
Now, I want to get your take on the economic situation. Even some Republicans are expressing concern today after the president fired the Bureau of Labor Statistics commissioner after yesterday's disappointing job numbers. That firing came as the president was announcing yet another round of tariffs for over 60 countries. And it came even as we learned this week that a key inflation indicator, ticked upward in June. Is this the economic relief the president promised voters, Congressman?
You know, we're all waiting. He promised in January he was going to reduce prices drastically. And it'd take a treasure hunt to try to find a price that he's brought down instead of hiking and spiking it up. This whole episode yesterday with the Bureau of Labor Statistics is very much like what he's done on healthcare disparity among African Americans and others. It's what he's done on the climate crisis, that he would hide the data in the education department.
Keeping it real. Keeping it real. You know who your host is? Reverend Al Sharpton. Reverend Charles Williams II hanging out with you today. Reverend Sharpton is on the road. Old Willie Nelson soon used to be on the road again. Yes, he's on the road again. Spreading a good word, putting the news out, getting folks organized and ready to be a part of the movement. That's right. you don't want to forget on August the 28th. I hope you registered, and I hope you'll be there. Certainly, we got a lot of folks who are registering, but we need more folks to register. Come from all over the country. The historic march on August the 28th. March on Wall Street. That's what we're going to do, and we're going to go to the Bull. And we're going from the Bull. We headed to the ballot box. We're going to shape this nation, and we're going to do it in a tradition of Dr. Martin Luther King in a very nonviolent way, sending our message loud and clear, loud and proud, that where there's no justice, there's going to be no peace. And we'll upset the landscape and packing out Wall Street. So I want you to join us on August the 28th. Make sure you're there. Go to www.National Action Network. Find out where there's a bus leaving and find out more information that you might need to share with your friends, family, and all of those who you know around you. Hey, this is why you need to get on the bus. Don't forget, you guys, Politics Nation is on every Saturday and Sunday. And boy, when I say it's a great show, I mean it's a great show. Not for entertainment, but this is infotainment. You get on Politics Nation some of the best correspondents, some of the best commentators on some of the most pressing issues for America, but also Black America, with a spin that only the Reverend Al Sharpton can give you to open up. I didn't say to close it, but to open up our minds a whole lot more than what you're hearing on some of these other stations. So make sure you tune in, 5 p.m. Eastern Time, 2 p.m., 4 p.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. So make sure you check Politics Nation every Saturday, every Sunday. For those of you all who are in the New York area, make sure you tune in. If you're across the country, you can tune in on Impact Television. If you're in the if you're in the New York area, you can go to 106 West 145th Street in the Village, Harlem, and you can make sure you get connected and check out the National Action Network Saturday Action Rally at the House of Justice. Reverend Sharpton gives a message every week, and if it's not Reverend Sharpton, we've got steady Eddies that are right there and ready to jump in place and make sure that we got a message that keeps us moving. 877-532-5797. Reverend Sharpton, he is out on the road. He's on the road, making sure we continue to lift up the August the 28th march. And I'm told my sister Dominique may be coming in with us, and so I certainly look forward to be with her because that is my sister. And we certainly appreciate her work and her sacrifice and her great hosting. We do. We really do. I appreciate it. I'm always looking to listen in when she's on the line. But today is your day anyhow, right? It's Exhale Friday. This is your day to jump on the line. So jump on the line. Get involved in the show. 877-532-5797. Again, that number is 877-532-5797. And exhale. Whatever's on your mind, whatever's on your heart, let it out. Let's go to Chicago. That's right. Chicago. Line 5. Miss Eunice, you're keeping it real with Reverend Al Sharpton. You got Reverend Charles Williams here with you.
Well, hello, Reverend Williams. How are you?
I'm feeling pretty good. I'm doing the best I can with what I got.
Well, you're doing a good job.
Okay.
You know, Reverend.
Thank you.
Well, Reverend, if they can go after the Democrats for leaving Texas, and Johnson sent the Republicans home early so they didn't have to vote on the Epstein scandal, and it is a scandal. I think it's a double standard. And thinking of this Maxwell being pardoned is frightening. She was the recruiter of the young women, and also she participated in the sex scandal as reported. And, you know, I feel the press is letting us down. They ask Trump a question, and he gives a nonsensical answer, and they move on. They need to press him over and over again. And I'd like to know who's running things, because whenever you ask him a question, he doesn't know anything about it, the topic, and he has to check. Who's running things? Stephen Miller, Bannon, Musk, Bundy, and the other suspects? We've got to really get out here and work, because everything is on the line. and we got to wake the town and wake the people. And already it's being affected here in Chicago. Weiss Hospital is talking about maybe closing down over the weekend because they lost some funding. And the hospital has been around for about 50 years now. So it's going to take place elsewhere also. And we have to be very mindful. Whether you want to fight, you've got to fight anyway if you don't want to. And I'm still on the case. Like I say always, I'm 92 years old, and I ain't no ways tired yet. Thank you for taking my call.
Thank you so much, Miss Eunice, and happy 92nd year of life. My goodness. And God has been good because your brain and your thoughts are clear, and so we're so grateful for that. Let's go to, stay right there in Chicago. Andre J., line 8, you're keeping it real with Reverend Al Sharpton. You got Reverend Williams here with you.
Hey, good afternoon to you, Reverend Williams. Good to be with you again. I don't get a chance to kick it with you too often, talk with you. So
Man,
it's always a pleasure.
I'm glad I get a chance to kick it with you, man.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I'm glad that you humble enough to fill in for the Reverend. You always got this pleasant disposition about yourself. So let me get on here. I agree 100% with Miss Eunice about this news media. The news media is supposed to be one of our protectors of our democracy, and they just cow and talent to Donald Trump. Donald Trump is one man. It's just amazing to me how this man got darn near every state intimidated by him, and he's only one man. And they could have stopped him a long time ago. I believe that we need to have massive marches and protests down there in Texas and stand in solidarity with them people. Right now, we ought to have buses from all of the states down there in Texas, blocking off the streets and highways down here in Texas, surrounding that capital where Abbott is at, in protest. This is how we got things done. The women's suffrage movement, the gay movement, the black civil rights, we got nothing without civil disobedience. This is what it takes. You got to rebel against these unjust laws and these Jim Crow laws. And they're doing the same thing they did before. White men have always used the police against us. When we didn't do what they want, they always beat us and had us locked up, and they going right on back to that same thing. And this brings me to my other point, Reverend, is that people entitled to their opinion, but I don't see why Anita continues to call the station talking about Elijah Muhammad and family values when Elijah Muhammad is the same man that had all them kids out of wedlock, where he was married to this woman and had all these kids and got all these paternity suits against him for his woman. And that's one of the reasons why him and Malcolm X fell out, because he wasn't living to the true teachings of Islam by having these women. So I just want to put that out there. The last thing, the Republicans are dumb and they don't have the spine, Reverend. And I say they dumb because if you want somebody to support you and vote for you, you would come up with some policies to make people like you, to make people want to vote for you. But since you don't have enough finesse, you don't have enough game to win over voters, you rather lie, steal, cheat, and destroy the Democrats or the independents that don't want to go along with you. See, that's what this is about, a one-track mind. And they are messing this society up for their kids and their grandkids that is going to have to live in this world with all of this violence they created, because the racial tensions is at an all-time high. And it's because of what these Republicans are doing. They've created another race problem. Lastly, you said something a little bit about Gaza. Well, what's going on in Gaza is pretty much the brainchild of Donald Trump, because I know it was bad, but it's worse now with Trump, because Trump has encouraged Netanyahu to try and eliminate the Palestinians in Gaza, take them away from Gaza, and turn Gaza into a hotel and a casino and a resort down there. That's what Donald Trump put the idea in Netanyahu's head. So no wonder Netanyahu don't want to back up, because he's thinking about doing what Trump said. And if this keeps up, then who knows? Donald Trump might send Netanyahu some of our military might to go help take over Gaza and get them people up out there and turn it into one of Donald Trump's resorts. So this is not a I problem, a me problem, it's a us problem. And all of us need to organize. Reverend Sharpton can't do everything. He's only one person. But somebody ought to have enough anger in them to organize some buses and get down there and support these Texas people that's here and in solidarity and fight against this stuff, because Dr. King say, I close, injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. Thank you there, Reverend. I appreciate it.
Andre dropping bombs. That's called drop a bomb. You dropping bombs, and certainly we thank you for your call. 877-532-5797. It's Exhale Friday, and folks are exhaling. What about you? Keeping it real with the Reverend Al Sharpton. Reverend Charles Williams in the big chair behind the golden microphone for just a little bit. We'll be right back right after this.
Rev, you know you were right there
From the beginning.
with the stuff that
Yep.
was going on in Brooklyn at
Yep.
that time, at
Yep.
Howard Beach. You were right there.
He had in one of the early movies, he had my name. Then he put me in Malcolm, and I wasn't even old enough to know Malcolm. So we've been through it all.
For those who see Malcolm X, it's 3 hours. But fast forward to the scene with yourself, Bobby Seale.
Right. Bobby Seale, Denzel, and me.
Yeah.
Denzel was on the set.
Now, let me ask a question.
Yep.
What was your weight on that scene?
I brought it about 270. I was bigger then.
Yeah.
Still had the hair, man.
Yeah, you had the head on.
Yeah, it was
Denzel, yourself, and Bobby Seale.
Yeah, all in one scene.
And also, there was no cut. We went like this.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Only Spike could have done that.
It's my brother right here.
My baby.
Brooklyn's in the house.
Yes, sir.
Brooklyn's in the house.
BK. Good morning, Grand Rising. Today is August the 1st, the beginning of a new month. 5 months, including this month, to the end of this year. You and I started this year making certain resolutions, setting certain goals. Well, what have we done with those months since January 1st? Have we achieved anything that we said we were going to do this year? Have we kept the resolutions that we said in terms of our behavior, in terms of our habits, in terms of those that we would have around us or be around, in terms of our friendships, relationships, associations? Have we been one of higher character? I mean, what have we done since January? Have we achieved or gotten close to achieve the goals we set? Or did we just say something, announce resolutions, and by the second or third month, gone? Well, you got 5 months, including this one, to course correct, to do a real deep dive into what you've done these first months of 2025 and what you need to course correct and get on track for these last 5 months of 25. Because time is not promised to any of us. We need to use it wisely and stop every now and then, no matter how good things are going or bad things are going, and make an assessment of this is what I'm doing, this is what I'm not doing, why I am not doing more, why I got off track, and focus. Your weekend assignment and mine is a assessment and course correction for these remaining 5 months of 25. Course correct. 5 months starting today. Let's begin. I had a thought this morning that I want to share with you about mentorship. I am able to do a lot of what I do because I had great mentors. But there are correct ways and incorrect ways to mentor people, in my opinion. I was mentored as a boy preacher by Bishop F.D. Washington, one of the great Pentecostal preachers of his time. Then Reverend William Jones, who became my pastor after Bishop Washington died, who was unquestionably in the top 5 black church ministers, theologians. Reverend Jesse Jackson, who I started my activism under his leadership, he and Reverend Jones. And I learned politics directly as a youth director from Shirley Chisholm. So even though I didn't finish college, I had the most unique education in the world from being exposed to giants. But the one thing I learned is as I grew older and people started coming younger than me and wanted me to teach and mentor them, the magic of the mentors I had is they did not want me to be their clone. They wanted me to learn things from them and use my own gifts and talents in my own unique way and let me do things on my own, because they knew that if I flopped in some things, it would teach me for the other things. They'll come and help me once I was down, but they were not going to have me avoid being down. And they were not going to impose themselves on me. Why am I saying that? Because too many mentors want clones. And too many mentees want their mentors to put them on a pedestal. Oh, so-and-so didn't do this for me. Oh, so-and-so didn't open doors for me. If they gotta open doors for you, it may mean that they knew you weren't ready to go through those doors. Their job is to prepare you. Your job is to develop your own skills, your own unique ways. And I don't care if it's my daughters, who both have come into their home, or anyone else. I'm not a talent agent. I did not form National Action Network to give people their step up. I formed it to fight for justice for everybody. If talented people get in, it's my job to invest and give them a platform. It's their job to get on the platform and perform and show their ability. Sitting with me today in the office as I talk about is one of my mentees, Reverend Stephen Marshall. Now, Stephen, you just came around us when you were how old?
11 years old.
11 years old. You just turned 40 and now you're called to the ministry?
Yes, sir.
And what do you do in National Action Network?
I formulate policies, lead in various regions, but most importantly, I senior advisor to you on all things from social justice strategies, politics, intergovernmental affairs, you name it, community organizing, all of that stuff.
And I could go through scores of others. My daughters started Huddle. They got Huddles now, which is for young people to meet once a week all over the country. I just saw the video from the Las Vegas National Action Network chapter. Now, when you decided to preach, did I ever tell you to become a preacher?
Not one time.
Who called you to preach?
The Lord.
All right. And did I say go to this school or that school?
No, sir.
Did I open this door, that door? Did I tell you be ready when the doors open?
Always be ready and prepared.
And that's what I'm saying. Get you some young people than you that you can help along the way. But don't be their talent agent. Their talent must speak for themselves. And anybody that grumbles with you about so-and-so didn't do something for them, maybe it's because they didn't feel you were ready, or that they felt if they did it, you wouldn't do it on your own. But we all don't live forever. I want the next generation to speak of me, of National Action Network, and others, the way I speak of Reverend Jones and Bishop Washington and Shirley Chisholm and Reverend Jackson. But I just don't want young people to feel that somebody ought to give them the reins of leadership or give them the reins of business or whatever it is you're in. You need to learn from their journey, get the pearls of wisdom from them, but don't have them do for you, because then it means you can't do it for yourself.
Everywhere I go, whether it's in rallies and community gatherings or churches, on my radio show, people are saying the Democrats need to fight back. They're not standing hard on the issues. It's time to not let Trump continue to control the narrative. And that is what I'm raising tonight. Democrats need to stand up and fight back. And don't give an inch on the Epstein files. He promised his followers he'd come with the files. I was born and raised in Brooklyn, New York. I didn't know anything about farming. But my mother...
Keeping it real.
Keeping it real. Keeping it real.
Keeping it real.
Keeping it real. You know who your host is none other than the man himself, Reverend Al Sharpton. Reverend Sharpton's on the road. He is working on making sure that we get folks out for the National March. That's right. The National March is coming up August the 28th. You go to nationalactionnetwork.net to get information about where buses are leaving. So I want you to make sure you do that. August the 28th. When? August the 28th. Make sure you do that. Politics Nation, I'm telling you, I really enjoy it. It's the best show. I watch it every weekend. I want you to make sure you get a chance to check it out too. It's 5 p.m. Eastern Time, 4 p.m. Central, and 2 p.m. Pacific Time. And I'm going to tell you, when I say that Politics Nation is action-packed, I mean it's action-packed. He has on the show this weekend, just this weekend. Now, this not, he has it every weekend, but it's always great, folks. But he got Representative Mark Vesey from Texas, Vinton Jones, the state rep, one of the state reps who fled. And so we certainly going to be hearing from them. We got some common strategists, Susan Del Percio and Antoine C. Wright. Y'all know Antoine C. Wright. He's right from Keeping It Real. He's going to be on, and we're looking forward to hearing him as he weigh in. We got the president of the United Farm Workers Union, Teresa Romero. She's she's going to be on. Rep Vicentes Gonzalez and Vicky Goodwin, who's also one of the Texas state reps, along with Rena Shaw and Amicia Cross. You guys see them. I see them quite often. And then, of course, from Texas, y'all know who our girl is in Texas. Rep Jasmine Crockett. Jasmine Crockett will be on. And then, of course, we'll be able to hear about the new book, Turf Wars, The Fight for the Soul of America's Game. That's football. You guys know that. The former executive director of the NFL Players Association, DeMaurice Smith. So, action-packed. We just had an election here in Detroit, setting the tone for what is the country thinking about. Solomon Kinlock will be on. Just a host of folks. Mary Sheffield, she ran in Detroit, and she had the largest voting block in Detroit from the election. And then, of course, Solomon Kinlock, who came in second place. So just a lot to deal with. So make sure you tuned in. Don't be tuned out. Tune on and tune in, because we're looking forward to a great show. Let me stay right in Chicago and go to line 7, XL Friday. Pam, you're Keeping It Real with Reverend Al Sharpton. You got Reverend Charles Williams here with you.
Hello, Reverend. How are you?
I feel pretty good.
Good to hear you. I always appreciate you sitting in, as well as Dominique. And let me just say, traveling grace to Reverend Sharpton, wherever he is. Absolutely. And then to Dominique, happy belated birthday. So I hope that she enjoyed her birthday. As usual, I always like to start off, Reverend, I hope that we are supporting the churches, NAN, Rainbow Push, NAACP, many of the organizations that are doing the work to fight back against the hateful attack against Black people. And so I hope that membership, donations, whatever we need to do, I hope that as the Black community, the Black nation, we like to call ourselves, that we are supporting every effort. I am so in support of the boycott, the protest and boycott. Will not be able to be there, but certainly I am going to donate and make sure I'm able to sponsor and help that event be successful. I've heard so much since listening, but first let me just talk about, if you want to address the issue of single parent families and children out of wedlock, here's a real easy solution that we can deal with today. How about, Reverend, if we just abstain from sex until you're married? Let me be clear. Stop having sex out of wedlock. That's for men and that's for women. I mean, I'm just real clear about that. If we can do that, then we can deal with some of the other issues. But until that discipline is put into play, it's going to be problematic. No, I'm not into polygamy. So that's a non-option for me. But I am for us making sensible choices right now that will not produce unwanted pregnancy. Because no matter what birth control method you use, an unwanted pregnancy can occur. And particularly dangerous for women right now, because we have a sexual predator, adjudicated sexual abuser, friend of a child rapist who has signed on to abolish health care for women that prevented women from carrying to term the babies of rapists. Let me repeat that. Women and girls are now having increased chance of having babies by rapists based on Roe v. Wade and based on denying certain health care from women. Now, these are your daughters, your sisters, your aunts, all of the women that you know. Next, let me move on. Legislators are having to leave a state in order to protect the right to vote for Black people. What Texas wants to do, the maggots in Texas, and maggots is the Make America Great Again Trump support. I call them the maggots. They want to racially gerrymander the map. And we need to be clear with that language. So I am thankful that Reverend Sharpton is on the case. I'm thankful that you're on the case. But all of us need to speak out and stand up. Because there is a man in the White House whose sole mission is to destroy Black people. That is what I believe in my mind. That is what I believe in my heart. And so for those who voted for him, who are Black, you must be self-loathing and self-hating. Because there is no way you can support that. A friend of a child rapist, Reverend, is acceptable. Oh, unless he sex trafficked your daughter. Would they still want to vote for him? See, I always bring it down where the goats can get it. Because I can't see myself wanting to be in the company of a child rapist. But this person can. So we must fight on all fronts. We must donate and shore up the memberships of the organization. But we must clearly call this what it is. And I'd ask you, Reverend, maybe this Sunday, since we're coming off the anniversary of the voting legislation, to talk about Reverend Dr. King, Medgar Evers. Maybe the pastors can include a little bit in their sermon. Because you have people here in Chicago, they want to try to destroy, but also co-opt the legacy of Dr. King by just telling straight lies that he somehow his love for Black people and working for humanity, somehow that would be he would be in support of this administration and their attack on immigration and Black people. I mean, I've asked Reverend Sharpton to please come on media in Chicago as well as Martin III, because they need to talk about their father's legacy, because there are too many here who are trying to distort it and claim it as their own because they claim they marched in the civil rights. I don't care what you did 10 years ago, 2 days ago. If you supported this racist in the White House, then all that is null and void for me. Because you've just erased all of your so-called advocacy work for Black people when you supported this racist. Stephen Miller, Bannon. We've got to fight, and we've got to identify the enemy. Thank you.
My. We keeping it real for sure. Keeping it real with the Reverend Al Sharpton. We'll be right back right after this.
Keeping it real. Keeping it real.
Warning, the IRS.
Look at the story. We celebrated Good Friday and Easter just a couple of weeks ago. Well, there's a message in that. I heard a preacher talk about this the other week. The thing that people forget, I want you to keep this in mind, is they crucified Jesus. Those of us that are Christian believe they hung him on a cross, maligned him, mocked him. Wasn't enough to nail him. They mocked him, saying, if you be the king of the Jews, step down and deliver yourself. Mocked him. Ridiculed him. He wanted water, they gave him vinegar. Crowned him with a crown of thorns. When they should be giving you your celebratory, they're going to give you some attacks. But the end of the story was they went and laid him in Joseph's tomb. Didn't even have a family tomb. Didn't have insurance like some of us. Laid him in a borrowed tomb. But the third morning, this is the story they tell it. The third morning, when they came to where they laid him, he wasn't there. My message is to you today that don't let them catch you where they laid you. They may kill your name. They may crucify your character. They may tell you you are nothing from nowhere, but when they come to where they laid you, let you be gone on to somewhere else. I've been called everything but a child of God. They said I'd be nothing going nowhere. They castigated us. They called us troublemakers. They called us loudmouth. And when they came to see me go to jail, I wasn't there. They can catch me on MSNBC now. They can catch me leading marches now. I serve a God that not only will go through the crucifixion, but will bring you through the resurrection. We're going to resurrect in the city. Stand up, black man. Stand up, black woman. This is our time.
Thank you, guys. Thank you very much. Let me thank Charlie King, Dr. Richardson. Most of all, let me thank Reverend Al Sharpton for bringing us all here together today. In the Urban Action Network, I am proud to be a candidate for the presidency of the United States of America. But I am mindful that I wouldn't be here if it had not been for Reverend Al Sharpton running for president, and Carol Moseley Brown running for president, and Jesse Jackson running for president, and Shirley Chisholm running for president. They paved the way, and I stand on their shoulders. And I'm proud to acknowledge that debt that I owe. I appreciate Reverend Sharpton for being a voice for the voiceless and a champion for the dispossessed. And as we saw last week, he's still on the front lines, fighting a good fight. And we are thankful for his energy and his willingness to challenge the conventional wisdom. I'm also thankful that Reverend Sharpton has built this organization because what he understands is that change in America doesn't happen from the top down. Change happens from the bottom up. Change happens when millions of voices set the agenda and hold those in power accountable.
One year ago and change, 67 weeks ago, we started marching every Thursday Am I right? On the offices of Bill Ackman. Bill Ackman was the architect of ending DEI, which is diversity, equity, and inclusion. He started it. I want to give a little history because a lot of people get Negroitis and get confusion. I don't even mind your ego. Everybody need one, but you don't have to become contrary and duplicitous. We got to have integrity even among those with ego. So we started when they first came out against DEI. Now Ackman and them started it going at Harvard University, forcing out the first black woman and first black president of Harvard. We went to his office and been going 67 weeks. I went first 10, 12 weeks. And this brother, stand up, Reverend Ron McHenry, coordinator, House of Justice. This brother has been there every week. Many of you here in the audience have marched every week. So we didn't just get in this. We were in it the day they came at Claudine Guy. Last year's convention, we dealt with DEI. This year, we said that we're going at these corporations that had come out against DEI. Many of you, most of y'all I'm looking at was at the convention. And we hit Pepsi. Pepsi called and said, all right, we 8-9 days in, we agree to meet. And we went, purchased New York, chairman of our board, Reverend Dr. W. Franklin Richardson, and Carol Wallace, who's a special advisor to us on finance, and laid out to them that one, we don't care what you call it, DEI, IED. Y'all are gonna keep your commitments in terms of the black community. And that means we don't want special privilege, but we do not want to be specially excluded. This is not about we don't want merit. We feel if our people are at the table, we can beat anybody on merit in many cases. So we want from employment to your board, to how you deal with marketing, to who does your financial investment. We want to go across the board with that. Otherwise, if you don't want to deal with the question of diversity in how you do your business, then don't deal with diversity in your consumer base, because you don't believe in diversity. So we just will try to remove all the dollars we can from buying your stuff. In fact, I told the chairman, met with the chairman of the board, met with the CEO. I said, in fact, I learned that not from growing up civil rights, I learned that from Donald Trump. I said, what do you mean? I said, Donald Trump said he's gonna redo tariffs, that if he doesn't get what he wants for the
Keeping it real, keeping it real. Keeping it real, you know who your host is none other than the man himself, Reverend Al Sharpton. Reverend Sharpton's on the road, working to get folks organized, get folks on the bus, while we prepare ourselves to get to Wall Street. On August the 28th, that's when we're doing it, and that's when I expect to see you. I'm going to be looking around. We'll be looking around for folks. August the 28th, that's right. We're marching on Wall Street, continuing to fight for justice, peace, power, and prosperity for our people, sending a message to the nation and across the world that we here, and voting rights still is on the table, right? DEI is still on the table, civil rights still on the table, Medicare is still on the table, right? Healthcare still on the table, jobs still on the table, justice still on the table. All of these issues are on the table, and we are not just looking for those who are in power, but we're looking for the puppet masters. Rev done said it. The puppet masters. Yeah, that's right. The folks with the money who making the contributions. Hello, somebody. That's what the preachers can't help but to say that. The folks making the contributions. Y'all making the contributions to these PACs and going on. Yeah, we know. We see you. And so we're making a very clear effort, push. We find you, we see you, and you're not supporting the causes that we need to be supported. The wheels of justice is turning. Hey, this weekend, we're going to have a great opportunity to hear from the state legislators that have been ran into exile. As a matter of fact, on Politics Nation, you can check that out. It's on 5 p.m. Eastern Time, 4 p.m. Central, and 2 p.m. Pacific Time on MSNBC. We're going to hear from Rep. Mark Vesey from Texas, Democrat from Texas, Vinton Jones, one of the state reps, Susan Del Percio, and Antoine C. Wright. Y'all know Antoine C. Wright. We hear him every week. And then, of course, finding out what's going on. There was an election here on this week. Mary Sheffield came in as the front runner. Solomon Kinlock, Mary Sheffield and Solomon Kinlock came in far behind her, but he came in on the other end of that. We want to hear from him and want to hear from others about the tone of elections right now in this in the country. Rep. Vicente Gonzalez and Vicky Goodwin, the other state rep, will have her on Sunday. Rena Shah and Amicia Cross will be commenting and collaborating around what the strategy looks like going forward in this country. And then, of course, I love to hear, and that's why I tell you, I love the show. Love we get a chance to sneak peek on this thing, right? So Rep. Jasmine Crockett will be there, along with Rep. Damaris, along with the former executive director of the NFL Players Association, Damaris Smith. So it's going to be a jam-packed weekend. So you don't want to miss this weekend. So make sure you are tuned in on MSNBC Politics Nation with Reverend Al Sharpton. All right, let's get back to the phone lines. I'm going to let everybody in. Nobody will be left out. Let me let you know the call-in number is 877-532-5797. Again, that number is 877-532-5797. Let's go to Germany, line 6. Rick, you're keeping it real with Reverend Al Sharpton. You got Reverend Williams here with you.
Good day, Reverend Williams, Reverend Charles Williams. Brother man, it's good to speak to you today. First of all, I got four quick points. My first point is the last time I talked to Reverend Sharpton, he corrected me on my view that President Barack Hussein Obama had not done enough for black people. And he said that I said that Barack Hussein Obama had not done anything for black people. That's not my view. My view is that he didn't do enough. And starting with telling the American people the truth. That goes into my next point. Donald Trump may indeed get a third term, and that because of the corruption of Congress and the rigging of the voting machines. I believe that the voting machines are rigged not only for Republicans, but also for Democrats. The wealthy rig them at will and put in who they think will best serve their interests, not only in terms of getting that tax credit.
Before you go any further with that, Rick, I want to remind.
Yes, sir.
I just want to make sure you know these are your statements that you were making on the Open Line Exhale Friday. But I do want to warn you of making statements like that, because if you don't remember, there's a company that levied a pretty heavy lawsuit on folks who were going around talking about the machines were rigged. I'm just reminding you, just to let you know. But you can go forth with your exhale though.
Brother man, I have been poisoned by 6 bandits of the federal government, Federal Intelligence Services, and 3 D.C. police officers in cahoots. In 2003, they poisoned me with intestinal parasites. I am dying here in Germany, eating lots of meat, as most small-town Germans eat. So there's not a lot that they can do to intimidate me. I say those voting machines are rigged, and I'll stand by that to my grave. But I think Barack Obama wouldn't tell the American people that, and I think he could have done more for black people in America. And third,
well,
I would like to say,
look, Rick, look.
Yes, sir.
Look. Hey, man, you got to take you started that conversation with Reverend Sharpton, and I'm gonna let you finish it with Reverend Sharpton. Because I'm not gonna go back and forth with you about that, any of that what you're talking about. I think it's best that you make sure you excel that with Rev. But if you've already said that with him and he's already gotten that and y'all have already discussed that, you ain't got to discuss that with me. Because again, like I said, it ain't gonna do nothing but be a back and forth and a back and forth and a back and forth. And it won't produce anything that's gonna be beneficial. Now if you got something new to excel about, I'd love to hear about it.
Third point, last point. Sickness, raising children, and studying with your children. Black people in America have to change the way we eat. The meat there in America is poison. It's full of growth hormone and gender hormone and lots of other bad things. It's rotting in the cabinet as they try to keep it cold. It's deformed meat. And meat in general is not good for you, but American meat, most of it's produced in a bad way. So if you want to raise good children, feed them well, and take care of yourself by what you eat so that you can study with your kids, even if you're poor. I'm done, brother man.
Thank you so much. We appreciate your call. Healthy nutrition is important, and that is not anything that anybody can disagree on. 877-532-5797, 877-532-5797. Let's get back in here on the phones. Let's go to Brooklyn, line 1. Harold, you keeping it real with Reverend Al Sharpton. You got Reverend Charles Williams here with you.
Yes, hello, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Hello?
Harold. Yes, I'm with you.
Yes, okay. This Geralda keeping it real. Rev, I like your spirit, and I hope to hear you more on this hosting for the Reverend. But you're introducing yourself wrong. You should be saying, I'm Reverend Williams, hosting today for Reverend Sharpton, who's out of town, or something in that area. As far as Rick is concerned, he's right. I believe that the voting process is rigged. And I also want to go back to history on the different governments that were here since the 1400s. We had one in the 1400s, we had them in the 1500s, then we had them in the 1600s. All those governments were disrespectful to the natives, the original people that they found here. And we now, in this century, we need to understand that we need to get rid of this government that calls itself the government in the 1600s, who actually fought against the Dutch that was here in New York City that was called New Amsterdam. And the information I got so far from the Dutch is that they were the only ones that was respectful and civilized. Hello?
Yep. That's the music. I gotta take a break. I want to let you finish, Miss. I'll let you finish. Hold tight. We'll get back to you.
I could come back. Yeah. Uh-huh.
All right. Thank you so much. All right, y'all. We keeping it real, and it's Exhale Friday, and folks is exhaling about some of any and everything. So you have your right to do the same. 877-532-5797. Reverend Charles Williams for Reverend Al Sharpton. We'll be right back right after this.
So who is Al Sharpton anyway? Who is this 33-year-old preacher without a church?
A number of black New Yorkers as well
He is little more than a pudgy exhibitionist who can be counted on to show up, bullhorn in hand, at every racial incident.
I often quote Mark Twain saying, the two most important moments in life is the moment you are born and the moment you find out why you are born. I had a very troubling conversation the other day that prompted me to do this little video. Young man that I've known a while came to me and he was crushed. I mean, really crushed, because people were criticizing his work. He's in the ministry, but he's also an actor. And he said he couldn't understand why people were jumping all over, criticizing him, trying to find scandalous and derogatory things about him. And I told him, I said, you know, you very young. You don't know the road I've traveled. They call me everything but a child of God.
A blabbermouth, a loudmouth, too flamboyant, an agitator, a racist,
I had to learn.
Yeah, right.
I was not defined by how others saw me. I was defined by how I saw myself and whether I was being true to myself. Some of you watching this don't like me. And it doesn't matter as long as I know what I'm doing and I like me for being real. So I'm doing this video to say to you, whoever you are and whatever you do, you may not be in ministry or social justice, none of this stuff, but don't live your life worried about opposition or people that don't like you. You can turn that around. Use me as an example. The same people that call me a scam artist, a con artist, a sellout, or racial hustler and all, I kept going. And the people I respected started respecting and publicly embracing my work.
When Coretta Scott King, the widow of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., had this to say about Al Sharpton.
A leader who has protested injustice with a passionate, unrelenting commitment to nonviolent action in the spirit and tradition of Martin Luther King Jr. And I am talking about your leader, our leader, the Reverend Al Sharpton.
The other thing that hasn't changed is the National Action Network's commitment to fight injustice and inequality here in New York City and across America. And that's not only a testament to Reverend Sharpton, it's a testament to all of you who are here tonight.
First and foremost, to Reverend Sharpton. I saw him when he first came on the scene, and I have marveled at his tenacity, at the development of his intellect, and his devotion to our movement, and much he has contributed to the world we are experiencing. I am honored, and I must say that when I had my debate with Dr. King on the issue of the church and religion, he didn't warn me that after his departure, his space would be filled by another preacher, and that preacher would be Al Sharpton.
All you want in life is people that matter to you to say you did all right. And more important, that you can look in the mirror and say you did all right.
Thank you, Rev. Thanks for that introduction. Look, we've known each other for a long time. I'm grateful not only for your leadership and partnership, but quite frankly, more importantly, for your friendship. And thanks to all of you, members of our nation's most important civil rights organization.
You have been, over all of your years, such an extraordinary leader. You are a voice of truth, a voice of conscience, a voice of practicality around what we must address and what we can do. And I thank you so much for your friendship.
I remember that most of the youth around Al's age, he was about 12, wanted to be like Connie Hawkins, a great basketball player, legend, or Earl the Pearl, or Clyde Frazier. Al wanted to be like Adam Powell, a powerful preacher with a social justice gospel. He was very close to, at that time, to Reverend William Augustus Jones, powerful preacher and social justice advocate, and Reverend Gardner Taylor State right down the street, and Bishop Washington, whose church he came from, and Reverend Sandy Ray. He wanted to be like these giant preachers. He wanted them to have the edge, however, of the King's social justice dimension. He wanted to be like them, now he's one of them. perhaps taller than most of them because of the risks he has taken and the reward God has given him with his gift. I remember so well that I first escorted him to jail. He was around 13 years old. Went to jail fighting the ANP. He was in the lineage of our struggle. He grew up in it. We didn't just see him on TV one night. He didn't happen. He came bottom up, not top down.
Thank you, guys. Thank you very much. Let me thank Charlie King, Dr. Richardson. Most of all, let me thank Reverend Al Sharpton for bringing us all here together today. In the Urban Action Network, I am proud to be a candidate for the presidency of the United States of America. But I am mindful that I wouldn't be here if it had not been for Reverend Al Sharpton running for president, and Carol Moseley Brown running for president, and Jesse Jackson running for president, and Shirley Chisholm running for president. They paved the way, and I stand on their shoulders. And I'm proud to acknowledge that debt that I owe. I appreciate Reverend Sharpton for being a voice for the voiceless and a champion for the dispossessed. And as we saw last week, he's still on the front lines, fighting a good fight. And we are thankful for his energy and his willingness to challenge the conventional wisdom. I'm also thankful that Reverend Sharpton has built this organization because what he understands is that change in America doesn't happen from the top down. Change happens from the bottom up. Change happens when millions of voices set the agenda and hold those in power accountable.
Live from the National Action Network corporate headquarters in New York.
There's no side that can justify, to me, killing innocent people.
What is it good for? Absolutely nothing. Keeping it real. It's Exhale Friday with the world's civil rights leader, the Reverend Al Sharpton.
Keeping it real. Keeping it real. Keeping it real. You know who your host is? Reverend Al Sharpton. Reverend Charles Williams II, I'm filling in for him. He's on the road getting the word out and getting the message out that we've got to organize for August 28th. August the 28th. August the 28th. What's happening? We're marching. Why we're marching? Because we've got to make sure that we uphold voting rights. We've got to make sure we uphold health care. We got to make sure we fight for jobs. We got to make sure we fight for justice. We got to make sure we fight for diversity and equity and inclusion. That's why we're marching, and that's why you need to be there. August the 28th. March on Wall Street. I want to see you there. Go to nationalactionnetwork.net and make sure that you register and make sure that you get on a bus. Make sure that you get the information about why we're marching so you can make sure you can recruit your friends and family. All right, y'all know it is Exhale Friday, and we are exhaling. We are letting it out. We are taking this time to make sure that we get the opportunity to get whatever's on your mind, whatever's on your heart out as we move across this country. Don't forget, though, before we go back to the phone lines, I enjoy listening to Reverend Sharpton's Politics Nation. I don't just listen, I watch. That's right. Don't just listen, watch. Politics Nation on MSNBC. That's right. Great show planned for this weekend, Saturday and Sunday. On Saturday, we get a chance to hear from Venton Jones, state representative, who is from Texas, who moved out of Texas just for temporarily to stop the vote, along with Rep. Mark Vesey. That's Congressman Rep. Mark Vesey. And then, of course, looking forward to hearing from some of the brightest minds and strategists in the country, Susan Del Percio and Antoine Seawright. Y'all know Antoine. He's here every week, so make sure you check in on Saturday with Politics Nation. Of course, in Detroit, we just had an election here. Mary Sheffield was the overwhelming winner, if you want to say that. But in place number 2, there's a man named Solomon Kinlock. We'll be hearing from him. And then, of course, the president of the United Farm Workers Union, Teresa Romero, who will talk about the new tariffs and the terror. Let's say the terror of the tariffs. Let's put it like that. We dealing with the terror of the tariffs. Sunday, make sure you check in. We got another Texas state rep, Vicki Goodwin, along with Congressman Vicente Gonzalez. And then, of course, we've got other strategists, Rena Shah, Amicia Cross. Great strategists, bright minds. I mean, one thing about Reverend Sharpton's Politics Nation is that you get a chance to hear folks who know what they're talking about. You're on Politics Nation, you know what you're talking about. You ain't guessing. You know what you're talking about. And then, of course, Jasmine Crockett, and she's going to tear the mic up as she always does. And then, of course, the former executive director of the NFL Players Association, DeMaurice Smith, will be talking about turf wars, this new fight for soul of America's game. A lot of folks asking the question about whether football going to survive with all of this head injury stuff going on. So it's definitely on time and in time, as Politics Nation always is. 877-532-5797. It is Exhale Friday. Don't forget, if you're in the New York area, check in with Reverend Sharpton at the Saturday Action Rally, 9 a.m., 106 West 145th Street, in person. Impact Television on national television, biggest black station in the country. And then, of course, black-owned station in the country. And then, of course, don't forget to check in via online, nationalactionnetwork.net, and all the social media platforms. All right, let's get back in the phones. Geralda, I wanted to finish. Geralda, Geralda, you still there from Brooklyn?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Come on, Geralda. Yeah, let me hear you exhale.
Okay. So I was telling you about the Dutch, and when they governed New Amsterdam, which is now called New York City, they had a statement where they it's quoted in the Constitution. I think the people that wrote the Constitution stole that statement from the Dutch, where it says, about equality, about the creeds. I got my head all confused now. But anyway, they talked about harmony between the races, the different races that lived there at that time. And black people was included, which is not included in our children's studies. Their studies is based from the 1600s when the English Europeans came over, and then they got the slaves. But there were black people living here that was not enslaved, and they also met up with the enslaved when the enslaved were brought here. And then vaguely you'll hear through history about how some of the same free black slaves were forced into slavery. Their IDs were destroyed when they showed their IDs on the street, and they were taken away from them, and then they were forced into slavery. For you know how these wicked people work. Now, to get back with our today, this government that we have, we're asking for a lot of things from them that they're ignoring, and we need to organize and get rid of this government. People may say, oh, it's treason, oh, this, that, and the other. No, this government started without the permission of the people who they found here, okay? In the same way they done that, we can get rid of them because they don't belong here. We already experienced the corruption between the government and also their justice methods. The laws and everything is corrupt. Now, another thing I'm upset about is that the African nation is not stepping in to help the people in Gaza. All of that is part of Africa. And the African nations, the whole continent, need to step in and help the people in Gaza. They're suffering, and they're suffering unjust because the mentality of Nahu, I think I'm not pronouncing it right, it's the same as Donald Trump. And Donald Trump is not king, and he's not God, and he needs to be removed. And we all need to get together, like I said, get rid of him, people that think like him, and we will prosper through the world. Thank you. Have a good day.
All right, let's go to Cincinnati, the Buzz, line 2. Jerry, you're keeping it real with Reverend Al Sharpton. You got Reverend Charles Williams here with you.
Hello, Reverend Williams. How are you?
I'm doing very well.
That's wonderful, fellas. A very interesting topic, and I'm glad to be able to excel, but you just let me know if you're uncomfortable talking with some of the things that I have to say, then I understand it. But I'm looking in terms of President Trump, which he said during 2016 elections that he was going to dismantle the program. But still people voted for him. They voted him in office. They knew he was racist. He talked about people that he didn't like, and he wanted the nation to be white. He said all those things. So I don't see why anything would be shocking to anybody. He told black people in the voted for him. I know you don't want to talk about the voting situation, but I do watch like the state hearings and Congress when they're meeting, and I did see an article, which I didn't fact check it, but he was a CIA whistleblower. Now he was the one, so if I guess somebody going to sue somebody, is the whistleblower that listed states that he felt that left the voting machines uncovered. So I just leave that alone. But then you still see right now the redistricting of communities. So they're still trying to rig elections, whether you want to say they're doing it or not, because how are you going to go in communities and redistrict, and I'm going to put these people over here, and this group will be right here. So the black folks will have one district. Now, I'm watching this on TV. I mean, everybody may not see the same thing. And I listen at the meetings when the Congress are arguing these points. You know, I look at a rapist who tried to overthrow an election, you know, but he made it into Congress, you know, and it's the same tactics he used is what he's continuing to do to strip away our constitutional rights. They could say what they want to say. I mean, they could take me to court because this is true. I'm watching it. That's what he's doing. Taking away the constitutional rights. Don't want you to say anything. Want you to be scared about, but people are tired of being scared. I mean, you're a minister. God said you won't be brought under the power of any, and you bound to have to rebuke the devil and pray and everything. So, and if that's not true, then we might as well not go to church. So that's what I'm basing my faith on, that we need to.
That's right. Thank you so much. She stopped talking, but thank you very much for your call. We're going to take a break. When we get back, we're going back. There's more to XL. 877-532-5797. Keeping it real with the Reverend Al Sharpton on XL Friday. We'll be right back.
Of reference. 400 years later, it's time to do some assessing where we came from. While Alabama, Georgia, and South Carolina, and Mississippi take the hits, the real trade market for commerce and cotton was New York, the port of New York. As a matter of fact, Joe, the first state to end slavery was Vermont. It was all the way up the coast. The big shipbuilders became enriched off of our enslavement. Say our people are not slaves, they are our ancestors. They may be slaves to the person, but they are our ancestors, they are our foreparents. The money is made off of the commodity. We were the commodity in the commodity exchange. And they would import Africans, they export cotton and tobacco. And they built the whole economic system around Wall Street. Africans, because they feared the Indians would attack the Dutch, built a wall on Wall Street. That's what they named it Wall Street. It's the Africans, with logs and trees, they built a wall around Wall Street, keep the Indians from attacking the Dutch. So Wall Street is named after us. There's a burial ground on Wall Street, which we should all visit. Those are our foreparents. At some point, they moved us to the other end of Manhattan, which is Harlem. So we are on the same island as Manhattan. Manhattan, Harlem, Wall Street, on the same island. Harlem is right down the road from Wall Street. That's interesting that most of our leaders who argued different cases never quite got to march on Wall Street.
That was Reverend Jesse Jackson speaking at National Action Network's House of Justice in 2020, saying that we ignored dramatizing, putting the spotlight on the economic inequalities, the economic issues of this country by never having marched on Wall Street en masse. Well, on August 28th, 5 years later, we're going to do just that. Because with this big, beautiful bill, which is a big, ugly bill that cuts Medicaid and SNAP, with the ending of diversity, equity, and inclusion programs and initiatives in the private sector, which gives blacks and others jobs, contracts for businesses, making sure we make the C-suite based on our merit and not excluded because we didn't have the family background in a given place, whether it be academic or business. The people that benefited from that are the ones on Wall Street that deal with the stock markets, that deal with the Dow Jones, that deal with making trade off of the decisions of those that supported the Trump initiatives in this area. So we are not this year going to Washington on the anniversary of the March on Washington. On the anniversary of the March on Washington, we're going to Wall Street. And Reverend Jackson, we're going to do what you said. Thousands of us are going to nonviolently but firmly come and say that the dream cannot be deferred by tax cuts for the rich and cutting those out that need food assistance, that need support with health care, and other economic policies that have choked the middle class and the poor. August 28, 2025, go to www.nationalactionnetwork.net, get the details. Meet us 10 a.m. at the African Burial Ground and be ready to march. Buses are coming from all over the country. Go to that website or call 1-877-626-4651. No justice, no peace. Good morning, Grand Rising. Today is August the 1st, the beginning of a new month. 5 months, including this month, to the end of this year. You and I started this year making certain resolutions, setting certain goals. Well, what have we done with those months since January 1st? Have we achieved anything that we said we were going to do this year? Have we kept the resolutions that we said in terms of our behavior, in terms of our habits, in terms of those that we would have around us or be around, in terms of our friendships, relationships, associations? Have we been one of higher character? I mean, what have we done since January? Have we achieved or gotten close to achieve the goals we set? Or did we just say something, announce resolutions, and by the second or third month, gone? Well, you got 5 months, including this one, to course correct, to do a real deep dive into what you've done these first months of 2025 and what you need to course correct and get on track for these last 5 months of 25. Because time is not promised to any of us. We need to use it wisely and stop every now and then, no matter how good things are going or bad things are going, and make an assessment of this is what I'm doing, this is what I'm not doing, why I am not doing more, why I got off track, and focus. Your weekend assignment in mine is a assessment and course correction for these remaining 5 months of 25. Course correct. 5 months starting today. Let's begin.
Keeping it real. Keeping it real, you know who your host is. Reverend Al Sharpton. Reverend Charles Williams II. I'm filling in. Rev is here, there, and everywhere, getting the message out about August the 28th. Now, he's putting his life on the line every time he jumps on the airplane. Any of y'all out here fly, y'all know what I'm talking about. It's no easy flights. But Reverend Sharpton's out there on the road and in the air, spreading a good word about August the 28th. What is happening on August 28th? Well, we're going to march. Why are we marching? We got to get housing, justice, jobs, health care. We're going back to where we started. And then some people say, well, why are you marching on Wall Street? Well, let's understand something. Every single one of these corporations that's publicly traded, that's on the stock exchanges, guess what? They all have candidates they support. Did you know? They also not only have candidates they support, they got PACs they support. Yes, they do. They don't only have PACs that they support, they got policies that they support. Yes, they do. And how do they support them? They write checks. So when we see this fight and the destruction of DEI, guess what? There's probably some PAC, some think tank, some policy organization that these corporations are supporting. You got to think. This is not just, you just don't, we not gunslingers out here. We sharpshooters. Nonviolent. Our tactics are our feet and our brains and our mouths. That's the tactic we use to uphold the tenets of democracy, protect this Constitution. That's what we doing. So you wonder why we doing this, because we holding these folks accountable that write checks to these candidates, to these policy institutes, to these PACs, and everything else that put these people in office. They don't get in office by mistake. They don't get in office by osmosis. You can check the record and you'll find that a lot of these corporations on these records, lots of them, many of them, have written checks to these different policy institutes and think tanks and everything else. So we got to be clear. We see you. That's got to be the message. When we walk and we march to that bull, and some folks say, well, we marching, okay, look, ain't nobody going to try to convince you to get liberty for yourself. Nobody try to convince you to get justice for yourself and for your people. It's not our movement. It's not Reverend Sharpton's movement. It's not Reverend Williams' movement. It's not my movement. This is our movement. This is for us. And for many of us, it's for our parents. It's for our kids. It's for our children. It's for those who come behind us. They're going to ask you, where were you in the time of Trump? You're going to have to make a determination. Either you're going to dream up something, or you can say, baby, go get my book, my photo album. I guess it'll be in the future, so you won't be using a photo album. You'll be saying, let me pull up my cloud. Back in 2025, see where I was? I was marching. With Al Sharpton and W. Frank Richardson and Martin Luther King III, Reverend Charles Williams, others around the country who are serious about this. A lot of folks playing a lot of games about this whole Trump thing and all these issues. We're not playing games. This is serious. We're going straight to it. So that's why we're marching. That's why I want you to join us. August the 28th, as we march on Wall Street. Historic march. Never been done before. Never like this. This is going to be a shutdown moment. And you don't want to miss a shutdown moment. You don't want to miss. This is, dare I say, not a Chronos moment. This will be a Kairos. Because we're not doing it on the weekend. We're not doing it after hours. We're going after this in the midday. Did you get the point there? Maybe I need to drive that home. We're going after this in the day. In the day. That means everybody's live woken. It's not a Saturday parade. This is a midday action. And so I want you to join us. And we're doing it in New York. So I want you to join us on August the 28th. That's August the 28th in New York. If you ain't signed up yet, and then if I just said something to get you off the bubble, go ahead and do it now. Go ahead, book your flight now. You still can get your flight to New York right now. Still can jump on the bus New York right now. Go ahead, pay for a ticket to New York right now. Because that's where we're going to be. Should be strong enough that we jamming up everything. August the 28th. That's where we're going to be in Wall Street. Just like the state reps are taking action, we're going to take action too. By the way, state reps in Texas have left the state capital. You all know this. There's no better place to find out what that means and what's going on than on Politics Nation with Reverend Al Sharpton. August the 9th, Saturday. Politics Nation, 5 p.m. Eastern Time, 4 p.m. Central, and 2 p.m. Pacific. Don't miss it, okay? Mark Vesey from Texas, Congressman Mark Vesey will be on. State Representative Vinton Jones will be on. The brightest minds in strategy, Democrat strategist Antoine C. Wright. Y'all know him because he's on the show every week. As well as Susan Del Percio. She's going to be on. We had an election in Detroit. Mary Sheffield, overwhelmingly, with, I believe, over 50% of the vote, is going to the general election, along with Solomon Kinloch, preacher, who is also going to the general election, I think at 15% of the vote. Don't want to miss, you'll see him on Politics Nation. You'll also see Teresa Romero, president of United Farm Workers. We're talking about the Trump tariffs. Somebody called them the terror tariffs. On Sunday, don't miss out. We're going to hear from another state representative, Vicki Goodwin, from Texas, as well as Congressman Vicente Gonzalez. And then, of course, we got other strategists, Rena Shah and Amisha Cross. Bright minds. When I say bright minds, I mean these cats are on it. I watch them all the time. And then, of course, our sister beloved, she's our sister beloved, Jasmine Crockett. She's going to be there with us, as well as we're going to hear from former executive director of the NFL Players Association, Damaris Smith. So, jam-packed weekend. Politics Nation, Saturday, Sunday, 5 p.m. Eastern Time, 4 p.m. Central, 2 p.m. Pacific Time. Lot to deal with in Politics Nation. All right. When we get back from the break, I'm going to the phone lines. We're gonna get everybody out. I think I see a mule on the way. I see a mule coming on the way. But we're gonna make sure we get everybody in before we get to the mule. Keeping it real with the Reverend Al Sharpton. We'll be right back right after this.
Everywhere I go, whether it's in rallies and community gatherings or churches, on my radio show, people are saying the Democrats need to fight back. They're not standing hard on the issues. It's time to not let Trump continue to control the narrative. And that is what I'm raising tonight. Democrats need to stand up and fight back. And don't give an inch on the Epstein files. He promised his followers he'd come with the files. I was born and raised in Brooklyn, New York. I didn't know anything about farming. But my mother was from Alabama. She took my sister and I to see our grandmother once in Alabama. And as we walked around a little farm, she told me, I'll tell you something about farming. You see that pen of hogs over there? I said, yes, ma'am. She says, if you throw a brick in a pile of hogs, the one that hollers is the one you hit. Every day since this whole thing came up, I've been hearing hollering from Donald Trump. Something hit him. We need to see the files to see what it is. That does it for me. Thanks for watching. I'll see you back here next weekend at 5 p.m. Eastern. But first, you can catch me tomorrow, Monday, on Morning Joe right here on MSNBC starting at 6 a.m. Eastern. The weekend primetime starts at the top of the hour. 1 year ago and change, 67 weeks ago, we started marching every Thursday, am I right, on the offices of Bill Ackman. Bill Ackman was the architect of ending DEI, which is diversity, equity, and inclusion. He started it. I want to give a little history because a lot of people get Negroitis and get confusion. I don't even mind your ego. Everybody need one, but you don't have to become contrary and duplicitous. We got to have integrity even among those with ego. So we started when they first came out against DEI. Now Ackman and them started it going at Harvard University, forcing out the first black woman and first black president of Harvard. We went to his office and been going 67 weeks. I went first 10 to 12 weeks. And this brother, stand up, Reverend Ron McHenry, coordinator House of Justice. This brother has been there every week. Many of you here in the audience have marched every week. So we didn't just get in this. We were in it the day they came at Claudine got. Last year's convention, we dealt with DEI. This year we said that we're going at these corporations that had come out against DEI. Many of you, most of y'all I'm looking at was at the convention. And we hit Pepsi. Pepsi called and said, all right, we 8-9 days in, we agree to meet. And we went, purchased New York. Chairman of our board, Reverend Dr. W. Franklin Richardson, and Carol Wallace, who's a special advisor to us on finance, and laid out to them that one, we don't care what you call it, DEI, IED. Y'all are gonna keep your commitments in terms of the black community. And that means we don't want special privilege, but we do not want to be specially excluded. This is not about we don't want merit. We feel if our people are at the table, we can beat anybody on merit in many cases. So we want from employment to your board, to how you deal with marketing, to who does your financial investment. We want to go across the board with that. Otherwise, if you don't want to deal with the question of diversity in how you do your business, then don't deal with diversity in your consumer base, because you don't believe in diversity. So we just will try to remove all the dollars we can from buying your stuff. In fact, I told the chairman, maybe with the chairman of the board, maybe with the CEO, I said, in fact, I learned that not from growing up civil rights, I learned that from Donald Trump. I said, what do you mean? I said, Donald Trump says he's gonna redo tariffs, that if he doesn't get what he wants for the country, they were gonna raise the tariffs. I'm doing the black tariff reverse. If we don't get what we want, I mean, y'all can't be for Trump and tariff and not be for us in the African American community with a tariff.
It's been a long time coming, but I know.
1968, Dr. Martin Luther King was killed in Memphis, Tennessee. And it has been the commitment of National Action Network to always, in the month he was killed, to let them know they killed the dreamer.
Because I have a dream today.
But they can't kill the dreamer.
Good evening and welcome to Politics Nation. Tonight's lead, Rigging the Game. For the last 7 months, Donald Trump has approached the presidency like it's an extension of his golf game, bending, even breaking the rules to gain an advantage. This week, he fired a top government economist for putting out a disappointing jobs numbers as he tries to deny his escalating trade wars are rattling the economy. And he's pushing Republican lawmakers to gerrymander state voting maps ahead of the midterms, desperately.
Keeping it real. Keeping it real. Keeping it real. You know who your host is, none other than the man himself, Reverend Al Sharpton. Reverend Charles Williams, I've been hanging out with you today, and I always enjoy hanging out with you. It's always a good time. We always have a great show, and it's always an honor. I count it an honor and a privilege. This is not anything that I'm due. This is a privilege every time I have the opportunity to guest host for Reverend Sharpton. Certainly, we was looking for our sister, but we certainly pray everything's good as she's on her way into the office. But I want to let everybody know, don't forget, forgot to mention, Detroit. If you're in the Detroit area, meet me or beat me at the Saturday Action Rally in Detroit. That's right. We do Saturday Action Rally. You hear me mention it every Saturday at 10 a.m. And we start at 10 a.m., 9:30. Starts the open mic. We have open mic at 9:30. 10 a.m. starts the official program at the historic King Solomon Baptist Church, 6100 14th Street. Of course, you know we're going to talk about these elections. Of course, you know we're going to recap these elections. So I want you to be there, 6100 14th Street at the historic King Solomon Baptist Church for the Michigan National Action Network Saturday Action Rally. You don't forget to join Politics Nation with Reverend Sharpton. You know, Saturday and Sunday, 5 p.m. Eastern Time, 4 p.m. Central, and 2 p.m. Pacific Time. And then, of course, make sure you join them at the House of Justice in New York, 106 West 145th Street in the village of Harlem, as well as you can join them online at nationalactionnetwork.net. All right, let's make sure we get Sister Reverend Cavanis on the line, get them lined up. I don't see them on the call screen yet, but make sure that they lined up. And let's take a couple. Oh, I see. Okay, I see them on there. Let's go to Detroit, line 4. Rod, you're keeping it real with Reverend Al Sharpton. You got Reverend Williams with you. I don't hear Rod. Rod once. Rod.
Can you hear me? Yes.
I can hear you now.
Hey, what's up, man? Live from Motown. You know how we do it.
That's right.
Yeah. What's good, brother? So here we go, man. Before I get to what Donald Trump said about bringing in the National Guard, to tell you what I think about it, I got some steps on what we need to do for our neighborhood. Let me say this. I don't vent. I come with solutions. You know, I bring solutions. Hashtag Black Lives, hashtag Black Behavior Matters. Now, like I said, before I comment on what Donald Trump said about bringing in the National Guard, let me say this. There are steps to it that must be done. You got a lot of people out here that's just running rampant, and it's getting worse and worse and worse every year. What do we need to do? Get tougher sentencing. Now, that's not just all of it. We do need more jails, but that's not just all of it. You've got to show these people we're not playing around with. Now, when you look on Instagram, you look on social media, they all having fun, playing around, putting stuff out, people getting attacked. And it's like, it's the norm for African-American neighborhoods. It's got to stop. It has to be stopped by tougher sentencing. And then once we get these people into jail, we separate them. Are you still there?
Yes, sir. I'm with you, but
okay.
I need you to move it.
Yeah, let's have a conversation. Look, when we get them in the jail, we separate them from the bad, from the extremely bad people. So we have to separate jails now. We have to the people that can be rehabilitated, They cannot be in there with the extremely bad people. That's one of the ways we are failing. You're putting mediocre bad people in with extremely bad people, and then they're coming out even more badder. So basically, tougher sentencing, separate these jails, and then from there we have to have capital punishment in all the United States of America, one way or the other, because these people you got mentally ill people that are using their mental illness to do more violence and make an excuse. And we're just standing around like, oh, it's okay. Or we are playing with these people when we should be saying to them, look, if you're mentally ill, you better go get yourself some help. That's no excuse for you to go out and be even more violent. Then we have the alcohol and everything mixed in with it in the black neighborhoods. So there's a combination of things that must be done. And I agree with Donald Trump. Yeah, send in the National Guard. Black behavior matters. You got these black people that get out here and do egregious, low down, no good stuff. And then they want to post it on social media like it's fun. It's happy. Oh, look, people over here fighting, attacking people. And we're just letting it slide as good black people. It's got to stop, bro. We got to have tougher sentencing, 5 years, 10 years, 15 years for attacking people, starting with 5, 10, and 15. Then you separate these people. If they can be rehabilitated, so be it. If they can't, then we give them even more time, and then we get capital punishment ready for the ones that are just extremely, extremely out of control. I'm tired of playing around, bro. And when you look at social media, that's all it is to them. One big game. They want to show people get jumped on, fighting, and we're not doing anything as real as good African Americans. Kumbaya time is over, bro, because they're still doing it, and they're doing it even worse. Now you got mental illness mixed in with it, and it's making it even worse. So I want to have a conversation with you. What do you think about that?
I'll definitely have a conversation with you about it. As a matter of fact, I'm going to make it a big part of my conversation tomorrow, 10 a.m. at the historic King Solomon Baptist Church. That's going to be a part of my message tomorrow. I'm going to definitely talk about it. And I wish I had more time on the radio, but I don't. Let's go. Let me try to get one more in before we go to Marcia. Let's go to Cincinnati to Buzz. I want to hear from Ray, line 3.
What you say, Rev? I'll make this quick. That last guy, he wanted to punish black behavior, but then he didn't say anything about Donald Trump pardoning all those January 6 rioters that was on the Capitol. And I want him to think about that. But let me bottom line some things about reality about white folks and blacks who don't vote, won't vote, and will vote Republican. When it comes to gerrymandering, Trump realized how important the House is. So he won't be able to run roughshod, over this country if Democrats take control. Now, when Republicans say that they didn't ask for this, all this chaos Trump is giving, they didn't ask. How do you not know in 10 years of Trump that Trump wasn't going to do all this? And let me say this: why would white folks want this chaos, Reverend? He's bringing in tariffs, which is taxes. He's killing the economy. He's firing people. And look what ICE is doing. They're out in the streets beating people, But let me say, in 2025, I'm talking about white folks. They like us in sports. They like us in entertainment. They like us in comedy and in movies. And as long as we're entertaining them, they're okay with us. But when we become presidents, vice presidents, governors, attorney generals, lawyers, Supreme Court judges, they don't like us now. Now they got a problem with us. We are here, and we're here to stay. So at some point, white folks got to realize, hey, just get along. We're a country of immigrants. But white folks don't think that they're an immigrant. They think everybody else are immigrants. And so, it just burns me up. But thanks for coming to me. Enjoy your weekend.
Thank you. Well, let's get to Cleveland, the preeminent leader of the Cleveland National Action Network, Greater Cleveland National Action Network, along with the Reverend E.T. Cavanis. Marcia McCoy, line 1. How you doing?
We're doing well, and I want to hurry up. Since the bishop has a good, concrete message, I want to turn it over to him expedition. Come on, Bishop, just give your message, and I'll say mine for next week.
to the Honorable Reverend Dr. Sharpton, Dr. Charles Williams, the impeccable Dr. Charles Williams. Hold my mule, my brother.
I got you, Reverend.
All right. If you are not challenged by what is happening right before our very eyes, you surely ought to be. This nation has allowed an immoral, unprincipled, lying, convicted, racist felon to be the one person above the law and to do anything he pleases without consequences with full-fledged immunity. Constitutional government is at risk. Civil and economic rights are infringed upon. And with a silent majority of Republicans in the Senate and the House of Representatives and a puppet speaker, along with a complicit Supreme Court, a fearful weaponization of the government is out to destroy every enemy that gets in its way. With that excessive power and the acquiescence of his billionaire conspirators, they will pounce upon anyone who stands up in their way. You put the whole weight of the government against colleges, against all opposition, discovering that you understand what is happening. Democracy is on its way down the toilet. Now, to top that off, you're manipulating the voting rights system by gerrymandering the state legislature so as to ensure a majority in the federal government. And you have a convicted felon who breaks the law in order to become the dictator he wants to be. Say it can't happen? Well, it did happen in Germany. Adolf Hitler's Germany inflicted immense devastation both on itself and the world. This devastation included the systematic persecution and murder of millions of the Holocaust, the destruction of infrastructure through bombing and scorched earth tactics, and the death of millions more in a war of aggression. The Nazi regime policies also led to a widespread social and political upheaval, leaving a lasting legacy of trauma and destruction. Remember now what this ego, narcissistic, bigot supremacist, white supremacist told the evangelicals. He told them, vote for me this time, and you won't have to vote again. He wants to break the law to serve a third term and rule with a dictatorial, unending power. He wants to create hatred and division amongst the people. He vilifies vulnerable minorities, absolutely despises black, brown people, and disabled people. He loathes veterans, calling them suckers and losers, fires competent, principled government workers who don't bow down to his lies and his surreptitious edicts. He appreciates lackeys, weaklings, and phonies. This evil man has no guardrails for indecency, no guardrails for breaking the law, pedophilia, and associating with sex offenders who prey on young girls as a young 14 years of age. With the potential release of Jeffrey Epstein files that they are scared to death of making public, they are pet. No one knows the peril and danger of this democracy at this propitious moment better than the Reverend Dr. Al Sharpton, better than the Reverend Dr. Charles Williams, better than the Reverend Dr. Marcia McCoy. Al Sharpton and the National Action Network, they alone cannot stop this. It takes a village. So I would ask every one of us, the sound of my voice, join the National Action Network. If you are woke, become a member, and let's obviate this cancer that's polluting the whole world. Thank you, Doctor.
All right. My man, Bishop Cavaness and Dr. Marcia McCoy. I want to thank the executive producer of Keeping It Real, Brother Fatim Muhammad. I want to thank the tech producer, phone tech, and segment producer, all wrapped up into one man, Chris Reynolds. I want to thank the Reverend Al Sharpton for this grand opportunity. I don't take any of them lightly, not one show. Thank you for letting me be behind the big golden microphone and sit in the big chair. Guest host for you. I want to thank all of you who called in, some who called in and couldn't get through, keep calling in anyhow. And remember, whatever you do, wherever you go, however you feel, tell somebody that the Reverend Al Sharpton wants you to know personally. Keep it real. Keep it real. Keep it real. Talk to you next time.